Hey everyone, and welcome to our deep dive into the Grammys.
The Grammys!
You know those award shows with the performances and all the speeches?
Oh, yeah, the trophies.
Right, the trophies. But tonight, we're going beyond just the glitz and glamour. We're going to be like music historians, you know?
Historians.
Yeah, kinda. We're taking a deep dive into two specific Grammy years, 2019 and 2009.
Cool.
We're going to unpack what those awards tell us about the music scene at the time, about the artists, even about the world in those specific moments.
That sounds interesting.
I think so too. And to keep things organized, we'll start in 2019, then we'll hop back to 2009, and then finally we'll compare and contrast what we find.
Okay, so a little time traveling through music.
Exactly. All right, so first up, 2019.
2019.
The 62nd Annual Grammy Awards. Now, there are like a million Grammy categories, right?
Yeah, there are a lot.
But we're going to focus on the big ones, the ones everyone remembers. Album of the Year, Record of the Year, Song of the Year, and Best New Artist.
The main ones.
Right. And real quick, just so we're all on the same page, there's a subtle but important difference between Song of the Year and Record of the Year.
Oh, right.
So Song of the Year is about the songwriting, the lyrics, the melody, the core of the song.
Okay, the song itself.
Yeah. But Record of the Year, that looks at the entire recording, the production, the performance, everything that goes into making that final track you hear.
Gotcha. So it's recognizing the whole package.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to 2019. Picture this. Billie Eilish, just 18 years old.
Wow, 18.
I know. She was nominated for Album of the Year for When We Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go?
Oh, I love that album.
Right. Her unique sound, kind of like this dark pop, it was already super popular. Even just the nomination felt like a big deal.
Yeah, like something was shifting in music.
Totally. And in that same category, up against Billie Eilish, we had Lil Nas X.
Lil Nas X.
Yeah, with his album 7. Now, this album was super interesting. It blended like country, rap, and pop.
Wow, that's a mix.
I know, right? Not your typical Grammy nominee.
Yeah.
Which made it super exciting. It kind of felt like the Grammys were getting a little bolder,
Yeah, less traditional maybe.
Right. And remember, this was all happening as streaming services were really taking over.
Streaming?
Yeah, like Spotify, Apple Music. People were discovering new music through playlists, being exposed to all these different genres. So maybe, just maybe, it had something to do with the Grammys recognizing more, genre-bending artists.
That's a good point. The way we listen changes what we hear.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, let's switch gears to Record of the Year in 2019. We had Ariana Grande with 7 Rings, a huge pop hit, super catchy.
Yeah, I know that.
But then, on the complete other side of the spectrum, we had Bon Iver nominated for Hey Ma.
Bon Iver?
Yeah, it's a much more introspective, experimental track. So different from 7 Rings.
It's amazing, that both those songs were up for the same award.
I know. That's what's cool about the Grammys, right?
Yeah.
You get this wild range of music styles all competing. Makes it fun.
Yeah, definitely keeps it interesting.
All right, moving on to Song of the Year. We had some seriously good songs nominated. We had Billie Eilish again with Bad Guy.
Yeah.
So smart. And kind of a subversive pop song.
Bad Guy's so good.
Right. And then we had Lady Gaga nominated for Always Remember Us This Way.
Oh, From a Star is Born.
Yeah, exactly. Such a beautiful song, full of emotion.
It's hard not to cry during that movie.
Oh, I know. And last but not least, we had Lizzo with Truth Hurts. It was like an anthem of self-love.
Yeah, such a great message.
And that song basically marked Lizzo's big breakthrough, which always makes a Grammy nomination even more exciting.
It's like watching someone rise to the top.
Totally. Okay, you ready for the big reveal?
The winner.
The winners. Drum roll, please. So, in the Album of the Year category, Billie Eilish took home the Golden Gramophone.
Wow.
And she was the youngest person ever to win in that category. Plus, she won Record of the Year and Song of the Year for Bad Guy.
A clean sweep.
I know. Pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Especially since it was her first time ever being nominated for a Grammy.
Amazing.
And for Best New Artist, the award went to Lizzo.
Lizzo.
Remember what we were saying about rising stars? She just had this amazing energy, and her message of self-acceptance resonated with so many people.
It was a big moment.
It really was. And fun fact, this wasn't actually Lizzo's first Grammy nomination.
No, really?
Yeah, she had been nominated before, back in 2014 for her work with Prince.
Wow, with Prince.
Yeah, again in 2016 for her own album, Big Girl, Small World. So while 2019 felt like her breakout, she had actually been working hard in the music scene for a while.
That's even cooler.
I know, right? It makes her success even more meaningful. Okay, are you ready to time travel back a decade?
Back to 2009.
Back to 2009. Get ready for the 52nd Annual Grammy Awards.
Oh, okay, I'm ready. What was happening back then?
Well, think flip phones and social media was just starting to get big.
Oh, right, like the early days of Facebook.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm curious how all that will be reflected in the music and the Grammys that year.
Me too. Let's find out.
Okay, so we're 2009, 52nd Annual Grammy Awards. And right off the bat, in the Album of the Year category, some big names.
Big names.
Beyoncé was nominated for I Am Sasha Fierce. It was a double album, actually.
Oh, well, that one, wow.
Yeah, she was exploring different sides of herself as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Lady Gaga, nominated for her very first album, The Fame.
The Fame. I loved that album.
It was such a game changer for pop music, those infectious electronic beats and, Lady Gaga's whole persona, totally unique.
You couldn't ignore her.
And let's not forget the Black Eyed Peas. Their album, The END, was basically like the soundtrack to everyone's life in 2009.
I got a feeling. That was their song, right?
Yes. That was on that album. Mix of pop, hip-hop, electronic music. It was everywhere.
Everywhere. It's interesting, though, both Beyoncé and the Black Eyed Peas had already won Grammys before 2009.
Yeah, they weren't exactly newbies.
Beyoncé already had 5 Grammys, and the Black Eyed Peas had 3.
That's impressive. Shows how they could evolve with the music, keep pushing the boundaries.
Staying power, for sure.
Yeah, they were constantly finding new ways to connect with people. Okay, let's move on to Record of the Year. Some iconic songs in this category.
Ooh, what were they?
We had Lady Gaga's Poker Face, a massive hit, that catchy hook, those music videos.
Oh, yeah. With the lightning bolt on her face.
Exactly. So memorable. Then, on the other end of the spectrum, you have Beyoncé's Halo,
Halo.
a power ballad showcasing her incredible voice, became an anthem.
It's such a classic.
Speaking of anthems, we can't forget Kings of Leon's Use Somebody.
Kings of Leon, yeah, good one.
Their sound, soulful rock. It resonated with so many people.
Big hit. And you know what's interesting? Kings of Leon had been nominated for Grammys before, but 2009 was their first win.
Wow.
It was a big deal for them.
Okay, now it's time for Song of the Year. And Lady Gaga is back in the running with Poker Face. She was dominating the charts that year.
She was everywhere.
And guess who's up against her? Beyoncé again. This time for Single Ladies. Put a ring on it.
That song was huge.
That song was a cultural phenomenon. The lyrics, the dance, the message.
The message of, female empowerment.
Yeah, exactly. I still hear that song everywhere I go. And another nominee in this category, Taylor Swift's You Belong With Me.
You Belong With Me, classic Taylor Swift.
It's a classic pop song that really helped launch her into, superstardom.
Yeah, she was on the rise. Remember, she had been nominated for Best New Artist the year before, in 2008, so her career was definitely taking off.
Speaking of Best New Artist, in 2009, the Grammy went to Adele.
Adele, what a year for her.
I know, right? It was just the beginning of her incredible journey.
And she's won so many Grammys since then. It's crazy to think Adele, Lady Gaga, Taylor Swift, Beyoncé, all these powerful female artists making waves in 2009.
A really exciting time for women in music. Okay, drum roll. Time to reveal who won the big prizes in 2009.
Okay, who was it?
So, Album of the Year. And it went to Taylor Swift for Fearless.
Fearless. I wouldn't have guessed that.
It was a bit of a surprise. A lot of people thought Beyoncé had it in the bag. But Taylor Swift's win definitely shook things up.
It was a big upset.
Yeah, everyone was talking about it. For Record of the Year, Kings of Leon won for Use Somebody.
Oh, cool.
The unique blend of Southern rock and those heartfelt lyrics. Clearly the voters loved it.
It's a great song.
And for Song of the Year, Beyoncé took home the award for Single Ladies. Put a ring on it. That win felt like recognizing not just the song's popularity, but its cultural impact.
Absolutely. It was more than just a song.
So we've traveled back to both 2019 and 2009. 2 very different years in music.
A decade apart.
Now let's step back and look at the bigger picture. What similarities jump out at you? Any differences that stand out? What strikes you as a listener?
Let me think. One thing that really jumps out to me is how pop music evolved over that decade.
Oh, in what way?
Well, in 2009, you had Lady Gaga, Black Eyed Peas, really pushing boundaries with those electronic influences, that innovative production. But by 2019, Billie Eilish, Lil Nas X, they were taking pop in even bolder directions, I think.
You think? I agree. It's like pop music got a little darker, more introspective in that decade.
Definitely. And maybe a bit more experimental, too.
Yeah, good point. And it's interesting to see that strong female voices were present in both years. Like in 2009, Beyoncé was such a force. And then in 2019, we have Billie Eilish, Lizzo, Even younger artists like Billy's brother, Phineas, making an impact.
Phineas is so talented. And don't forget, Lady Gaga was nominated in both years.
Oh, right.
Shows how much staying power she has. She started as this avant-garde pop star and then evolved into a respected singer-songwriter. She even won an Oscar for A Star is Born.
It's true. It just reminds us that the music industry is always changing. Those who can adapt and evolve are the ones who really leave their mark. So what do you think these two Grammy years say about the bigger picture? Cultural shifts, technology. What happened between 2009 and 2019?
Well, for one, social media was so different in 2009. It was still kind of new,
Yeah, the early days.
Artists were just starting to figure out how to connect with fans on MySpace, Facebook.
But it wasn't the main way to connect, right?
Right. By 2019, though, social media was everything. It was how people discovered music, how artists promoted their work, how they engaged with fans. Artists like Billie Eilish, they built massive followings online. It definitely played a role in their success.
That's a great point. It's like the power shifted, from the record labels, the radio stations, to the artists themselves. And social media was this new stage. And then musically. Streaming services, Spotify, Apple Music, they really changed the game between 2009 and 2019. Playlists, algorithms, they were like the new tastemakers. People were being exposed to so much more music than ever before.
And I think that's reflected in the more diverse genre-bending music we heard at the 2019 Grammys. The lines between genres started to blur.
It's true. I think we've done a pretty awesome deep dive into these two Grammy years. We've explored the categories, the nominees, the winners, and even like the cultural and technological context.
It's been a journey.
It has. Before we wrap things up, I think it'd be fun if we each recommended an album from either 2009 or 2019, something we think our listener would enjoy, based on everything we've talked about.
Okay, let me think. Since we were just talking about Lady Gaga's evolution, I think I'll recommend her 2019 album, Chromatica.
Ooh, Chromatic.
It's different from her earlier pop sound, but it showcases her amazing voice and songwriting in a more mature, introspective way.
Good choice. I'm going to go with Fearless by Taylor Swift from 2009. It's a classic pop album. Captures the energy of that era perfectly. And it's the album that won her that Album of the Year Grammy. So, worth a listen.
Definitely. Wow, we've covered a lot of ground today. But really, it's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to these two Grammy years. So, listener, what are your thoughts? What surprised you? What are you curious about now?
What do you want to explore more? What music from these years will you revisit, or maybe even discover for the first time? We want to hear from you. We love talking about music.
Me too.
And hearing what you all think.
It's a conversation, right?
Exactly. It's all about sharing these musical moments and, keeping the conversation going.
For sure. And I think it's so cool that both 2009 and 2019, even though they were 10 years apart.
A whole decade.
Yeah. They both had such incredible music, such creativity.
So much talent.
It just shows how powerful music is, It connects with people, makes us think, feel.
Makes us dance.
Exactly. And it doesn't matter what year it is, music always has that power.
It's funny, while we've been talking about all this, I've been thinking about how much things have already changed, even since 2019.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, streaming is even bigger now than it was then. Social media trends change so fast.
Yeah, things move quickly.
And artists are always pushing boundaries, trying new things.
Always innovating.
Right. But even with all that change, there's something about music that stays the same.
Oh, totally.
It's always about expressing emotions, telling stories, connecting with something bigger than ourselves.
That's beautifully said.
It makes me wonder, what will the Grammys look like in another 10 years?
Ooh, good question.
What kind of music will be winning awards in 2034? What new genres will there be? What will technology do to the music we hear?
That's something to think about.
It's exciting to imagine.
It is, and I bet no matter how much things change, the Grammys will still be there.
You think?
Yeah, they'll be showcasing talent, sparking conversations, reminding us how awesome music is.
Well said. I think we've done a pretty thorough deep dive tonight.
Yeah, we covered a lot.
We traveled back in time, explored some amazing music, even thought about the bigger picture, the cultural context.
We shared our thoughts, our perspectives.
But in the end, it's up to you, the listener, to decide what it all means.
What did you connect with? What made you curious?
What music from these 2 years will you go back and listen to?
Or maybe discover for the very first time. We want you to keep exploring music.
Keep listening.
Keep the conversation going.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Grammys through the years.